Is he judging me? He looks like he's judging me. Hellraiser Judgment is the 10th Hellraiser movie that came out just yesterday, actually, on DVD. And how is it? Is it good? Is it bad? Is it a fate that's worse than being tortured by the Cenobites themselves? Hellraiser Judgment is the best sequel ever in this series. Hellraiser Judgment is great. It is the most terrifying and twisted Hellraiser since the original. I'm not kidding. I really loved Hellraiser Judgment, and I made sure to sit on this for a good while to make sure that I wasn't clouded by fandom or, fanboying. But really, I really enjoyed this. Hellraiser Judgment follows these three cops that are trailing the serial killer, and the serial killer has like this thing for biblical stuff. So he puts twisted things on these murders that he commits. And these three cops, two of which who are brothers, are trying to track this guy down, and it turns out that this guy is also being tracked down by somebody else, being the Auditor, who is a great character in the Hellraiser franchise. He is a new addition. He's not a Cenobite. He's some sort of other demon or entity. It's never really stated exactly what he is. And he is this person that entity that will interview people who are twisted and messed up, and basically interviews them and sends his finds to other entities like him to see what sort of judgment these people have in hell. And it's a lot to take in. This movie hits you right off the bat. It's within the first 5 or 10 minutes of the film, you're watching something that's different, new, and fresh, but doesn't really betray anything that makes Hellraiser a Hellraiser. It brings all these really great and new ideas that I've always felt would make a great addition to the Hellraiser films. Having this character called the Auditor, and the entities that he works with, and their conflicts with the angels and God, who doesn't appear in the film, but he's discussed. And there's an archangel that appears in this film who is not entirely good. And there's some conflict between her and Pinhead. And let's get to Pinhead. Pinhead is played by Paul Taylor this time around, and not the series regular Doug Bradley, nor the actor from Hellraiser Revelations, and thank God. So how is he? Is he just as good as Doug Bradley? Is he a pale imitation? Is he worse than the guy from Revelations? No, absolutely not. Paul Taylor is terrifying as Pinhead. The director, in the earlier months leading up to the release of this movie, described Paul Taylor's portrayal as Pinhead as very much like Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee, the classic actors. And I completely agree to that. While he doesn't stray too far from what you expect from the Pinhead character, Paul Taylor brings this fresh and new perspective to the lead Cenobite, and he's terrifying. This is the most terrifying that Pinhead has been since the original. And I'm going to be saying that a lot. He's just as good as Doug Bradley. He makes the role his own without having to worry about stepping on the toes of what came before. And he's amazing. And Pinhead has his typical amount of screen time. He's got more than what he had in the first two films, but he's in it about equal to what he was in the third, but not necessarily the fourth. But he plays his role well. He's not just sort of there or shoved into the story. He has a very important part to play, And I love him in this movie. He is scary again. It's hard to watch. A lot of this film is hard to watch. The imagery is very, very heavy. Whereas like 5, 6, and to an extent 7 and 8 didn't have a whole lot of that imagery that became associated with the first 4 films. They went all out on this one. There's some stuff that it's like, what the hell are we watching? I think Dimension Films really lucked out on this one. It could have just been another cash grab or blatant attempt to keep the rights, just like Hellraiser Revelations was. But this landed in the lap of somebody who gives a shit about the franchise, who's a fan of the original 4, and wants to bring the Hellraiser franchise back to some dignity. And they do that in spades. I'm excited about more Hellraiser films if they're like this one. If they can go more in the direction of this world they've started to build with the angels and the Cenobites and the Auditor and the people that he is with, if they can build more upon that world and what happens at the end of the film, I'm game. Bring it on. Let's get this stuff theatrical too. That's what upsets me even more about this film, is that this might not get a whole lot of attention. It's hard to say right now. Maybe word of mouth will help it, but this deserved to have a theatrical release in my mind because it was so good. And it's a special kind of scary. It's a special kind of horror movie. It's in my opinion, as I feel right now, it is in my opinion, the best Hellraiser film since the original. And that's hard to do after 10 movies. But really, when you have a franchise that old, the best thing to do is to bring in fresh and new ideas, and that's what they did here. Hellraiser Judgment. Have you seen it? What did you think? How do you think it compares to the original and the sequels? Do you think it's better than all the sequels, or just the other straight-to-DVD sequels? Comment below. Let me know what you think. And as always, if you like what you see here, subscribe. Check out my books on Amazon. Tweet me. Let's talk Hellraiser. Let's talk about this thing. Let's get the word out that the Hellraiser Judgment is one of the scariest movies to come out in a long, long time. Bye.